Were you forced into a nosebleed mortgage rate in this past year? Loan Pronto is here to rescue you. Hey, it's Prosser. Listen, if your mortgage rate is over 7, you're going to be in heaven with Loan Pronto's zero-cost refi. You can cut your house payment by hundreds of dollars and even do it with zero closing costs and no appraisal. Rates have plummeted to the lowest point in nearly 12 months, and it's time to say goodbye to that bad loan you got stuck with. Loan Pronto's got APRs with fixed rates in the 5s. So don't live with that record high a day longer. You can lock in a lower rate now with virtually no paperwork or cost involved. Call now and see how much lower you can get your house payment. Refi now, and you can even skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call for a free 30-second quote, 904-999-1508. At loanpronto.com, you can find out more. 904-999-1508. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
New Year's Eve sale prices are happening now at Superior Fireworks in Orange Park. Locally owned superstore with something for everyone at any budget. Stop in today for early savings or online at superiorfireworks.com.
I'm Taylor Dahl with your 1010XL local sports update brought to you by YMCA. Some unfortunate news for the Gators over the weekend as running back Trevor Etienne announces he is transferring to Georgia. After 2 impressive seasons with the Gators, Etienne adds another weapon for the Dogs. And Gator freshman wide receiver Eugene Wilson III was recently added to this year's Pro Football Focus all-freshman team. Wilson led the country in receptions per game and finished the season with 6 touchdowns. As for college basketball, 5 Gators scored in double figures, notching 27 assists in the 96-57 win on Friday over Grambling State, while Primo Spears and Jalen Worley scored 12 points each to lead Florida State to a 67-61 victory over Winthrop. It's 71 degrees at 12:02. Time and temper brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
All right, a little bit of a combo effort there by our good friend Dylan. It was about a 12 handicap. That's on the front side. You can add another 12 on the back. Good to have you with us today after, my goodness, complete misery in town. The good news is, hey, you could be living in London. You know, you could be living in Green Bay or Buffalo or Cincinnati or Cleveland or anything along those lines. You don't. You live right here in Duval. My name's Rick Ballou, typically with you 6 to 8. Hacker Nation is here as well. He comes on immediately after me weeknights. But today, we are in the building, business hours from right now up until 3 o'clock. And, brother, we have got a ton to go over.
Yeah, Rick, hope you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Glad to be with you for the rest of the week here, closing out the year on 1010XL. And good gracious, Sunday in Tampa, Florida left an awful lot to be desired. And the one thing that I came away, and I did the 5th quarter immediately following the game, 10 years of doing the 5th quarter, I've never turned a Jaguar game off. Never. Not once. Gus Bradley era, obviously the Urban Meyer year, never turned a game off. When it was 27-0, I said, well, if the Jaguars don't want to play, then why do I need to watch this? Because it was an embarrassing performance.
Yeah, you know, this is one of those deals where the entire offseason we make predictions. We social media-wise, we made our picks. I had them 10-7. I know around here there was some 16-1s and 15s and 2s and whatever it was, and I got really ripped. I got destroyed by listeners. What's wrong with you, this and that, 10-7. Well, I think a lot of people would take 10-7 right now.
Yeah.
That ended up being the best that they can get. And I hate playing the role of I told you so, I told you so. But I'm trying to figure out what happened. Regardless of when I picked these games, I always had them over Tampa. And then you had the problem, the concussion protocol, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to pick Tampa again. They've won 3 straight. Jacksonville's lost 3 straight. And then you started to hear Thursday going into Friday that, you know what, it looks like Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to play. And we made our picks Friday, and I was under the impression it officially came out Saturday that he had cleared the concussion protocol, but I said, that's it. I'm going back to Jacksonville here. They've only lost once on the road. I think they're going to be able to get it done. They're a better football team. You could tell midway through the first quarter, they didn't want to be there. They want to be home with their families on Christmas Eve. And all of a sudden, I don't have enough fingers to point. It's the coaching. It's the offense. It's the defense. How about all of this miscommunication? I've been doing this since the Jaguars came in 1995. I can think of pathetically coached Urban Meyer team, and at times on the field, there have been more miscommunication in the last month and some change with this current team than even what happened with that Urban Meyer team. I know a lot of problems off the field as far as miscommunication with Urban Meyer, but you got the two with Parker Washington running the wrong route and not getting out of bounds. Young DBs getting totally screwed up in miscommunication against Cincinnati. Is Calvin Ridley running the right routes? Last week, Doug Peterson said we need more continuity and chemistry in our offensive line, particularly on the left side. And Hack, how do you explain 4th and 8? 4th and 8, and you get a delay of game? That's something that happens in week 1 for a Power 5 school against a directional school.
Now, of course, I wasn't doing this because I was on the air Sunday evening, but I told the guys I was watching the game with, have a shot every time they talk about self-inflicted wounds, right? You would have had a heck of a time Sunday night because that is the narrative about the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. Self-inflicted wounds, right? They're not beating themselves. I mean, Jake Browning didn't throw for 350 yards. The Jaguars beat themselves on Monday night. Mm-hmm. Cleveland didn't throw for 300 yards with Joe Flacco, didn't force 4 turnovers because, of course, the Jaguars are beating themselves. Baltimore didn't rush for 250 yards on the ground because the Jaguars are beating themselves. And, of course, Sunday, none of that really happened because the Jaguars had 4 turnovers. They're beating themselves. I'm so tired of that narrative. There's no question to me anymore if the Jaguars are good. They're not good. Good teams do not lose 4 games in a row. We can put that to bed. Now, it can still be a good season because regardless of how it happens, if you win your division, you get a home playoff game, it's hard to complain about that. So it's still right in front of you, amazingly, which is an indictment for the rest of the AFC South. But the Jaguars are not a good football team. The self-inflicted wounds, we're doing it to ourselves. Look, if that makes you sleep better at night, that's fine. The bottom line is Baker Mayfield was far and ahead better than Trevor Lawrence on Sunday. And you would have never in your life said that coming into the year. That Tampa Bay team, it mattered to them. It was a big game for them, and they went out and showed it. Jacksonville did not, and it was very, very disheartening. And like you said, not the offense, not the defense, not the special teams. It was everybody. Mm-hmm. It was coaching. It was you name it. It was a failure at every level on Sunday for the Jaguars.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at this over the next 3 hours. We're going to be interactive, as always, with you on our text line, which is 641-1010, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. A little bit later on, Hacker and I believe we're going to open up these phone lines. That'll be in a little bit, and I recommend it. Okay, it's better than any drug. It's better than any street drug. It's better than anything that is prescribed to you from any type of doctor that is voicing your opinion. Let out your complaint. Trust me, you'll feel better after the fact. Now, I still think they win the division. I still think they host a playoff game. I think that I'm not going to say slaughter Carolina, but, I mean, they're 2-5 at home. There's got to be some sense of leadership in that building. Someone has got to do something to flip the switch. It's Carolina. It's a 5'5" rookie quarterback, okay? They're bad at home. They're 2-5. And don't give me that London crap, okay? It takes 9 days to get to London. That's not a home game. I'm talking about right here in Jacksonville. They're 2-5. So I still believe that they could go as far as they went a year ago, believe it or not, because they're going to get a home game, could very easily win that home game. But I want to, and I know you do as well, I'm really concerned about where this franchise is, whether they make it into the divisional round and lose, as they did a year ago, or if they do not make it to the playoffs, which I think some of our listeners right now would believe. Again, I'm not going to go there. We are in desperate need of change now. with this football team. I never thought I would mention Doug Peterson and change, and I'm not there yet. I still think he's the right man for the job, but his message is not getting through, and that is a huge concern. I want to put much more of it on Trent Baalke. His draft classes have been a disaster. Tank Bigsby didn't even see the field yesterday. That's a third-down pick. Last year's third-round pick. Last year's third-round pick, Chad Muma, didn't see the field yesterday. Second-round pick, Brenton Strange, 11 snaps, not a factor. Last year's third-round pick, Luke Fortner, is getting blown away week after week after week after week after week. He is a total liability as a center. It's time to look at this draft class and the last couple of classes, and someone has to speak on this. It's somewhere in between arrogance and ignorance as to what we're seeing right now, the way that this team has been assembled.
It's fair to evaluate a draft about this in the pre-show. It might be the worst rookie draft class, year one, the Jaguars have had in a long time, and that's saying something. Like you said, you're getting nothing from Strange. You're getting nothing from Bigsby. Yasir Abdul has been a healthy scratch every week. Ventrell Miller's hurt, so we don't know what Tyler Lacey's a guy. Braswell's been hurt. I mean, it has been awful. The rookie class has been absolutely putrid to this point. The one thing I'll say about Carolina coming in here, I think you could argue, going back to this weekend, Rick, that Jacksonville looked like the worst team in football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you did not know any better and you just blanked out the teams and say one of these teams is 8-7, the other one's 2-13, you might have thought Carolina was 8-7. Bryce Young threw for 300 yards.
He did.
They put 30 points on Green Bay. They got a lot of confidence off. Thielen's doing his thing. So Jacksonville should win the game on Sunday, but based on what I saw in Tampa, I'm having trepidation picking them to be a 2-13 Panther team because, again, there was not a worse performance in the entire National Football League over the Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday slate than what the hometown Jaguars showed